This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Welcome to episode 13 of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I am your host, Janine Igliani, with my co-host, Ryan Hatcher.
Hey.
And our guest today is Phaedra Earhart with Gateway Restoration. Phaedra also is involved with our Aspire, which is a local networking group. So we're super excited to have you, chat with you, and just get to know you on a deeper level. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
So before we jump in, tell us about yourself and tell us what brought you to Gilbert, Arizona, and just, let's get to know you.
So I've been here 24 years.
Amazing.
Well, not in Gilbert 24, but a long time in Gilbert, probably about almost 20 now. I am originally from Texas, born in West Texas, and I traveled all over the world because my dad was in oil. So we lived in Singapore, we lived in Venezuela when I was growing up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You speak Spanish?
I
little bit?
used to fluently. Yes, sí,
cool.
un poquito. Yes, for sure. Because if you don't use it, it's not like riding a bike. You do lose it. And so I can understand the gist of what people are saying usually. I just can't really communicate back to them. So
that's cool.
I would, if I could jump back into it, that would be probably a good thing.
When you travel to like Mexican or Spanish speaking places, do you feel like it comes back? Because I feel like that. Like,
I do feel like
the more I hear it, then the more.
Right? We went to Guadalajara several years ago, and I was the best Spanish speaker of the group. So I was like, this is scary for one thing. And hardly anyone spoke English in Guadalajara.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like going to like one of the vacation-y towns, like Cancun or something like that. So I brought my little dictionary, which I immediately left in the cab the first night. I just winged it the rest of the time. We did not have smartphones back then.
Darn.
Yeah. Anyways, so went back to Houston, and then I lived a large part of my life in Oklahoma. And that's where I graduated. I went to Oklahoma State. And
what's your degree in?
It's hotel restaurant management. Yes.
I worked in hotels for 7 years.
Really?
And I loved it.
Really?
What did you do?
I actually didn't work in hotels. I waited tables a little bit, but I actually decided I didn't want to be on like 24/7. That life didn't like appeal to me. Yeah. So I did go into retail, which is also like a lot of holidays, you know, that you're working. But I love change. I embrace change. So every day was different.
Do you, Phaedra? I would never
know. Right. If the last 3 years have told you anything about me. So I graduated at Oklahoma State, and then I had met Jason in that time period. That's my husband. And we got married in Oklahoma, and then we were honeymooning in San Fran, and we got word that he was accepted at Arizona State for his master's. So we were like, we're moving to Arizona. Okay. So we've been here ever since. Tempe, Biltmore area, North Phoenix, and then eventually in Gilbert. So that's how we got here.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then what brought you to Power Ranch? How long have you been in Power Ranch?
I've been in Power Ranch for 18 years.
Oh my gosh.
Which is crazy. So I can't believe it's flown by so fast. But
so that would put you, because we're in 23, help me with the math, 05?
Yes.
So one of the originals.
The end of 05.
Yeah.
So it'd been through 2 investors who had not done a thing with it. Yeah. And so we moved in thinking, okay, this is just, our living area. And I did not get involved in the neighborhood for a long time until I started my insurance business. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know anyone. I need to start networking. So the first thing I did was start attending things in Power Ranch. And
like community events.
Yeah, community events. Like it was a wine tasting. It was like a 4-week wine tasting. And that's how I met Heather and Chris.
Yes.
It's how I met Christy and Brett, lifelong friends.
I love it.
And I realized oh my gosh, Power Ranch has so much more to offer than just being a resident here. And I don't think people realize it either, because you see the same people at events,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just would love to spread the word that there's a ton of fun stuff for families, for adults. It's just a great
I love that
neighborhood.
about Power Ranch. I feel like no matter what stage of life you're in, there is something for you. Mm-hmm. And to your point, whether you're a family with little kids,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're seniors that just want to have fun, and then everything in between.
Absolutely.
And we have all those types of people that live here. It's just so so much of a variety, but I just love the community events. And then to your point, which is a big part of why we do what we do with the community events, is you get to know your neighbors, which makes where you live even richer.
It does.
Yeah.
The relationships you form, and it's such a feeling of community.
They don't make communities like Power Ranch much anymore. I mean, any of the new communities don't have the amenities that we do. And if they do, they charge a whole lot more. So it's a really unique community for sure.
It is. And I know quarterly assessments have gone up. And I was on the board for 3 years as well, right?
Yes.
So I realize they have, but they are still incredibly competitive if you look at other neighborhoods.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
For what you get.
For what you get.
Oh, yeah. People all the time say that. Like, what? You get all of that? Or then the flip is when they look at moving out of Power Ranch and they look at those dudes and they're like, wait, they have none of that.
I experienced that.
Yeah?
Yeah. We pay $120 a month and I have a splash pad and a half a basketball court.
Fun.
A half basketball court.
A half.
Yeah.
But is there more coming over there?
Yeah, there'll be some pickleball courts and other
Well,
things.
that's all the rage right now.
Right.
So I turned 50 this past year, so I did buy a pickleball set because that's a requirement,
That's what
right?
you do.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I did start knitting.
Oh
So-
my gosh, Phaedra.
Wow.
So where do
Bridge-
have you
Bridge is
played
next.
pickleball?
Trilogies, call my name.
Bridge is next.
That's so funny.
No, I haven't. It's sitting in. Actually, Heather texted me this morning. It's like, we need to play pickleball.
Yes,
And I was like,
know.
yes.
I want to do it
Pickleball's
too.
a blast.
Is it?
The worst part about playing around here, is trying to find a court that you can stay on.
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
everyone, they're
Gilbert
all so
Regional
full.
is so packed.
You know,
every
we
day.
have one in Power Ranch. Yeah, over by me,
the tennis
actually.
courts.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, when I was on the board, that was a big hot topic. They wanted to convert both to
Tennis courts?
pickleball.
Yeah.
And we said just one.
Just one. Yeah, agree with that.
So-
People still playing tennis. So
Okay, so community events, you started participating. That's how you connected. You have lifelong friends from that, which is amazing.
yeah, and that's how I got involved in Aspire too.
Okay.
So
So let's talk about Aspire. What is
okay.
it?
So Aspire is the business group we run out of the neighborhood. So it started through the HOA, but it has been passed to the members now. So I oversee it along with Jessica Heath, with Melanie Nimitz, with Denise Seaman, and with Shannon Hines. So
You guys are like the OGs now because you've been doing
we
it
are
for
the
so
OGs,
long.
yes, and a couple other people too.
Yeah.
have been there a while. But I joined kind of right when it was like, I don't want to say falling apart, but it kind
It
of was.
was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just
was
people were
almost
leaving
going
in
away.
droves.
Yeah.
And so that's when they turned it over to us, and it took a minute to grow it, but we are on the upswing right now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
super
have about,
exciting.
I think 30-ish, like 31, 32 people now. And we
come
have a great
regularly?
crowd every month.
Awesome.
Yes. So we meet once a month, second Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. At the Carriage House. And so every other month we do kind of a social kind of time, like a happy hour type of thing, and play games. And then every other month after that is like more business.
Yeah.
So this coming second Tuesday of the month, I don't even know what date that is, but we're coming up on it. So just come join us. If you don't have to be a business owner, you just have, be in business.
Yep.
And we have a lot of categories that are open. And we accept up to 3 of each category. So it's not really like a leads group. It's a network group in the neighborhood. And we put you on the HOA business page as well. So it's a great benefit.
I love that.
At only $100.
It's a great organization.
Yeah.
It is.
I was with Aspire from the very beginning, and they kept coming up to me like at events because Aspire would always have a table. And it was super, once I got connected, and I feel like what Aspire does really well is it's a mutually symbiotic relationship between the business owner and the HOA, right? And so it helps the HOA in terms of helping with sponsoring events and promoting the events. And then the business owner in turn gets help by being able to have access to the people that attend these events and also the co-promotion, which I really love. And what I love about it too is that it used to only be Power Ranch residents. Now it's open to outside, but but you get to focus on the people for me where I live, right? Which is so awesome.
Absolutely.
Why not do business where you live?
Absolutely. And we also have kind of a volunteer arm of it as well. So we call it Aspire Gives. And so we volunteer where it's needed in the neighborhood. So we actually painted like the dog stations last year. We went around and did that. So I know this isn't going to air, but we're also volunteering at the Easter extravaganza this Saturday.
So
yes,
we will be there.
So wrangling kids and all the funness of that, and it is a great organization, and I really enjoy like being part of it. So,
that's awesome.
And thank you for really like bringing me on as leadership.
Well, we appreciate that you kept it going because it was almost, I mean, it's been through it. Aspire had its ups and downs, right? Where the HOA was in charge and the HOA gave it away and said no. And that completely changed the dynamic of it. And I love seeing the numbers grow. So.
I know. Same here because we are on like the upward trajectory.
Yes, you are.
And one other thing too is like you're talking about the relationship with HOA.
Yeah.
It is like there's tons of sponsorship opportunities. Yeah. There's also they refer to us too when people call in, and we get first rights to those sponsorships as well. So great relationship.
It is. So that's our plug for Aspire.
Thank you. Come see us.
Aspire. Okay, so let's talk about Gateway Restoration. Okay. Tell us about that. Tell us how long you've been there. Just all of that fun stuff.
I have been just over a year. I actually celebrated a year on Tuesday. So Gateway Restoration, property restoration company. We do any kind of damage from storms, fire, flood, accident, and then also biohazard.
Do you work with the insurance companies?
Yes, we actually are approved through many insurance companies, and we have
preferred vendors,
like a preferred vendor.
Okay.
Yes. So we also have a ton of insurance experience. So we know. We work with it so often that we have a good relationship with insurance companies.
Nice.
And honestly, it's just a great company. The reason our owner got into it is because he saw so many unethical things happening in the restoration industry. And I always say, if there's money to be made, you're going to bring out the people who are not going to do right by other people. So
do you do water mitigation and fire, all that stuff?
Yes, we clean it up and we rebuild it. So we are KB1 general contractor.
Okay.
So that is the highest of the general contractors licensing. It takes years and years to get it, and working on big jobs. So we maintain that. We are Better Business Bureau A+ rating,
nice.
Which is also hard to maintain. And we're just out there really just doing right by people. And that's what attracted me, because I just can't get behind something that I don't believe in.
Right. Yeah.
So
for sure.
when I saw our code of values, and he has it everywhere, but moral is one of them. And that's true to him. And he's just the most honest and humble person that I could work for, and I just love it. So.
That's great. I used to handle homeowners claims back in my previous career.
Oh yeah,
many years ago.
You were an adjuster? Or?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And an in-house adjuster. And you're right. I mean, there was a lot of unethical stuff.
Yeah. Well, they'll find water where there's really not any.
Or they'll put in extra fans, or say they are, and it just jacks the prices up, and it gouges the insurance company, which impacts the.
It impacts us all.
Yeah.
It impacts us all because of rates, going up. And it's also called insurance fraud, so I actually talked to an HVAC guy the other day. He approached me and he said, I had a restoration company call me out and asked me to investigate after a fire if the air conditioning units needed to be replaced and all the system throughout the house. And he said it didn't. And they came back to him and said, would you mind changing your wording to have them need 2 full new units?
Wow.
Along with all the ventilation. And he said, no.
That's
not, he's like, this is my name too,
So let's talk about, let's say someone has, like, for example, I'll use my sister. This is a funny story. Funny, not funny. My niece started a bath upstairs and went about doing her thing. And next thing she knows, she's downstairs and water's coming through the ceiling. That was a nightmare for them. So at what point do they call you? Do they need to contact their insurance first? Can they reach out to you directly? How does that work?
So, I owned an insurance agency for about 10 years. So what I would do, especially if I said, if you're not standing in a foot of water or your house is on fire, call me first, because I will send a restoration company out to you and see if it's really claimable, for one thing. Number one, we don't know if it's truly claimable. Number two, will it hit a deductible? So maybe you have a higher deductible, maybe like $5,000. Maybe it's not worth it to file it. Maybe it's just going to go a little over. So I never like to get claims involved until we needed to get claims involved.
That's great.
And I would help them through the process too, like calling it in with them. Any good insurance agent should really be there. That's what you're there for. You're not just there to sell policies. So a good insurance agent will call claims with you. Just talk about how, really walk through it, the whole process. So we are also there to do that for our customers too. We want to make everybody's life easier. It's such a nightmare. It really is to have something happen to your house. I actually just had my dishwasher, the motor started leaking out. And so it was running out the back. Well, it damaged a bunch of the drywall and cabinets as well. And just that little bitty thing where it hardly did any damage. I mean, we haven't had a dishwasher. We're going to have to remove the sink now and so it really, I can see like just that mine is so minor. Think about having a full house fire,
Right.
and how devastating
And you lose
that
everything.
is. It is. We honestly, as much as they are technicians in the field, they are also therapists in the field, because they are going through the hardest time in their lives
Right.
sometimes,
Yeah.
So we really we know that, and we want to make sure we do the right thing. And anybody that refers us to, I feel like, so many people, you guys know, you do a lot of referring, I'm sure. So when you refer somebody, that is now your name,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Attached to it.
It's an extension of your business.
It is absolutely. And if you don't do right by these people that I'm referring to you, or don't call them, or say you're going to do something and you don't, that goes back on me.
Yes.
And that goes back on you
Yes.
if you refer somebody. So I take it very, very seriously, and we all do.
I love that. That means a lot. And I think any vendor partner should have that same mentality of, if you're taking the time to refer them out, to really handle that in extra special. So because it's so important. It isn't just your name. It is that person. I think that's what we do, Ryan. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
When someone takes the time to refer us out, it just means so much. That's how I have several clients that have come to me through people that I've never met, and it just means a lot. So
Yeah, that they trust you, right? To
that's-
send their loved ones.
And if you take care of them, your business will grow.
Absolutely.
So do you guys do residential and commercial, or just?
Yes,
Okay,
we are both.
Okay.
There is no job that is too large for us.
Okay.
We do have in-house teams. What we aren't are roofers. We're not plumbers, and we're not electricians, but we subcontract those out if we need them to maybe rebuild a house. So, but most times it's done in-house. So,
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. All right, Phaedra.
Okay.
So I know you have many passions. You want to tell us about something else that you're super passionate about?
Yes, I would love to. So I serve on a couple of boards. I did just roll off the HOA board.
Yes.
So I had my 3 years in there
You
for
paid
Power
your
Rand.
dues.
I paid my dues. It was a great learning experience. I
Yeah.
really encourage anyone
Yeah.
to actually do that.
No, it is. And can we talk about that for
Sure.
just a quick second? Because I was just talking to Nick with CCMC about this, that so many people have this perception of HOAs that they're almost out to get them, right? When they get those violation letters or whatnot. But what they don't realize is that these people are out here to keep the community. It's what we pay them for, right? And when it comes to HOA boards, it's all volunteer. And everybody there needs to have that same focus of what's best for the community versus their own agenda. And I've always felt that the HOA boards, when I was on it, that they all felt that same way. And that we're all doing the best that we can. We're all on the same team here, right? When they come at it, like you're out to get them. I just don't understand that, because it's totally not the way it is.
It's kind of a thankless position.
It
Oh,
is,
for sure it is.
especially the CCMC themselves, because they are a wonderful company and they're a wonderful management company, and they get abused a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it really is. And also, yes, being on the HOA, it is a fairly thankless position.
Yes.
But we are out for the good of the community. That is what's driving
That's
us.
it.
It's to
Yep.
serve,
Yep.
and that It really is to preserve the community that
For
we
sure.
all love.
For sure.
And I've gotten violations as well for
Oh,
parking.
yeah.
So, and I pay
yeah.
my violations as well. So, but yeah, I ran the landscape committee,
Yeah.
and it was actually my very last meeting of the committee meeting. Some homeowners came, and you saw the exact opposite of each one wanted. One wanted more trees, and one wanted us to cut down some trees.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is what we do. We do with all the opinions, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So it was interesting. It was a good meeting at the end there.
It is.
So,
That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go out.
Yes,
Be
it
like,
was.
this is a perfect example of what we deal
Yes,
with.
exactly.
I know. I've seen people go on like the community pages and just like blast HOA members.
I
was
know.
one of them, and you're just like, what?
I
Like,
just-
I'm volunteering my time.
I just don't even bother looking at it.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's not
I
even
just
worth
like,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan calls it post and ghost.
Right?
You know?
Right?
Just don't look at the comments.
Don't
It
even.
happens in every community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet. So.
Okay.
that's fine.
So I don't know how we got off into
So-
that.
so
You
back to your
serve.
passion.
Okay,
Yes.
passions. So I also serve on Mesa Leadership Board. So Mesa Leadership is run out of the chamber, Mesa Chamber. And I actually went through it. I was a graduate of 2022.
Nice.
And what a wonderful program. Like really, it's a 10-month. You get to learn all about the city of Mesa. Gilbert offers one as well.
Yes, I know
Very
somebody
rich.
in the
And
Gilbert
I
one, and he
actually
loves it.
would like to do that one
Yeah.
pretty soon.
If you want to
So-
do that, someone was telling me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had someone come to one of our board meetings, Janine, you need to do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to like look at that with you to see if it's something.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You apply.
You apply. There is an interview process. The class this year was pretty big. I think it was 32 it started with. There's probably been a couple that have fallen off, but you get to learn all the backside, like the back end of Mesa, like how the government side, like how the city is run. Visit numerous nonprofits, and then you also leave the city a little better than you found it because you do a class project, and it's for the betterment of a nonprofit. So mine was through Child Crisis Center of Arizona, and we redid a foster home for some boys in the backyard, and then added a lot of new furniture.
So you do that project as a group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's sweat equity in it too. You are like that
Right.
first day of the project, it's a tough one. And they're doing House of Refuge actually this
I
year.
love
So they
that.
chose them, and
That's
they're
cool.
redoing like a playground, I think, something like
very
that.
nice.
So yeah, and they're raising funds for that right now, and they're in the middle of it. So, but we are taking applications for Mesa Leadership of 2024 right now because that class will start in August. So if you're interested at all, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to
Nice.
chat with anyone about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What else? What are some of your
Okay,
other
so
passions?
the one that really has my heart is Oakwood Creative Care. So I've been on the board a couple years. Shannon Hines actually got me into like she was telling me about it for a number of years.
Yes.
But I went in and I was like, I'm going to volunteer here. And so they call it pulling a Phaedra now because I told them I wasn't going to be on the board.
How funny.
And they got me to be on the board.
How funny.
So it is a day center for people with cognitive challenges. There are 4 locations in Arizona. There's 3 in Mesa and 1 in Chandler, Sun Lakes area. And it's a place where people can go and be stimulated by the arts. So there is no bingo ever allowed. And there is no sitting in front of a TV only to watch a lesson on how to do something. So
Okay.
it's been proven that the creative center of the brain is one of the last things to go during a dementia diagnosis. So if you stimulate that creative center, then the memory can last longer and they can stay at home longer because that is the whole purpose, because it is very expensive to put someone in care. And so the longer they stay at home, the better they, the more money they can save for that care they will eventually need. So we also have training programs for families who maybe have just gotten a diagnosis, maybe they're in the middle of it, maybe they're at the end. But it's how to, it's really kind of training for the caretaker, which is usually a child, a spouse, a sibling.
What's the minimum age for your?
There's not a
a-
minimum age.
Okay.
They are mostly seniors because
Okay.
it is kind of an older person disease.
Yeah.
But we have people with traumatic brain injury that come in as well because they do have some memory loss. We work with woodworking, gardening, painting, singing, all the fun, like really fun stuff. And they are happy. It is the mission is sparking joy in their lives because there is still life to be, to be
Enjoyed,
lived,
yeah.
right? even if you have that diagnosis.
I remember when you first told me about it and your involvement, and you just lit up, and so did Shannon.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
you
Shannon's
could-
super passionate.
I mean, you
about
could
it.
tell it was a growing passion for you.
It is. And I actually texted her today and I said, I just wanted to talk to her. And I was thinking, she doesn't even realize how much she impacted my life, like with this. So I wanted to tell her. But,
Well, hopefully she'll listen to this.
yeah, exactly. So I just love the organization. They're out to do good. They're changing the way care is given to dementia-related diseases, and Alzheimer's falls under the dementia umbrella. I'm dementia-friendly certified, so meaning I can actually teach individuals and businesses I can give them their designation as dementia-friendly. So that is a free service I do. So if you're wanting to work with a senior population, that's a great idea for a business to get dementia-friendly. I just need over 50% or more of the employees to be there at the training, and that designation can be given.
Nice.
And then I can do it just for individuals as well. Maybe they have a family member and they want to learn more about it. I'm happy to do that just as a free service.
Did you get into that through Oakwood? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I learned about it and I thought, this would be great to know of, because actually through Mesa Leadership, I was on a police ride along and we got a call that there was a man in front of his house with a gun. And so I stayed in the car for a minute while they investigated, and then she waved me in, and it ended up being a gentleman who has Lewy body, which is a form of dementia under the umbrella, but it's also it's Parkinson's related. And they have hallucinations and also memory loss. So he thought someone had broken in, so he grabbed the gun and then called the police. So it was very sad. Like his wife just was at her wit's end, and I thought if more people had that training, then they could know the signs, and really, and learn how to talk to people, because you have to speak slower and you have to wait longer for their responses. You have to wait a full 30 seconds to a minute sometimes, while they form like that thought in their head.
Yeah.
And so it's not about arguing with them either. It's about going along with the conversation. So there was a woman, her husband was going through Alzheimer's, and he was a farmer in the past. And so he got up at the crack of dawn, not even, and said, I'm going out. She goes, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to feed the chickens. I mean, they were in they didn't have a farm at that time.
Right.
She said, I already fed them. And he's like, oh, okay. And he went back to bed.
Oh,
So it was going
interesting.
along with it instead of saying, we don't
Right.
have chickens anymore. And then
Right.
that confuses them
fight.
and that angers them. And so it's really about kind of finding that balance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I can't speak enough about the organization. We're having a fundraiser this weekend. I know this is not going to air
Yeah.
by the time we have it, but we're always looking for good people to volunteer. We're looking for donations. You can use the Arizona dollar for dollar tax the donation
Yeah.
for QCOs. So we are a qualified charitable organization. That's the QCO. And you can use that to help an organization out.
So would you ever have need for like a group of teenage young men to
Sure.
come do something?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We love it all. Like, we love it when little puppies come to visit them. And you know what is the most beautiful thing to see is like when little kids and the older people get together, because they love little kids love attention and they love attention.
Yes.
And it is just so wonderful to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I love that. When my mom was in a facility for a little while, I would take my kids there, and the other patients would love to talk to my kids. And my kids would be like, what do I do? And I'm like, I just talk with them, because that's like the highlight for their
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
and it's so fun. I love that. I think it really gave them a soft heart.
I love that.
Because sometimes it's like, oh, they're different than me or whatever, and it can be unnerving, but
Yeah.
they aren't.
Right.
They're just people that want to be loved and cared for. So
Yeah.
I love your heart, Phaedra. Like hearing you share that, and the fact that you would pursue this. Oftentimes it is, I have a family member, I have this or that, but it doesn't sound like that. It's just something that your heart just has fallen in love with, and that's awesome.
Yes. Well, my grandmother did die from complications of Alzheimer's. So that's kind of, how it related to me. And my grandfather promised he would never, ever put her in a home. And the thing is, he couldn't keep the promise because he couldn't give her the care she needed.
Mm-hmm.
So he felt like he always broke that promise, which breaks my heart. But she passed pretty fast after she went into care. So that was good. And then he just kept telling us, well, he was going to go be with her soon.
Aww.
And I think he willed himself to die, honestly, like within about a year.
Wow.
Yeah, after. So that is very common.
That's what I've heard.
spouse to
I've heard
pass.
that like within months.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, it has my heart, and I hope other people see it too, because only 2% of philanthropic dollars in Arizona go to seniors.
2%.
Only 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So it would be. I find it like ironic that they are forgotten about and they are forgetting. Like they're
that is
past,
ironic.
You know. So yeah.
They need it though. And so I love hearing about it, because one of the things we love to do is to be charitable, to serve, to give back. We're so grateful for what we get to do. And so that you just like really piqued my interest of like, what could we do to help?
I love it. Thank you.
I'll come
Thanks
up with
for that
something.
Consideration.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Because I love that. Well, Phaedra, you are amazing. I love your heart to serve. I mean, throughout just this time that we've been together, I think it just shines through in everything. You really care. I think you love connecting, and I love that because that's a huge part of what we do too. Yeah, you're awesome.
I love your heart too. And I love
thank
the
you.
way you bring people together. So
Thank you.
I know you're all about it as well.
Yeah, it is one of the greatest joys of what we do is getting to connect. And then also kind of to your point, you made friendships at these events and things like that. I love that, like connecting clients with other clients, and they hung out. Heather and Chris hung out with some of my clients. I introduced them out at a happy hour. I'm like, I love this.
Oh yeah, I think they even taled about that the
Yeah,
other day.
did
Like, they're like, that's where so and so lives, and I was like, who was that? And she's like, Janine introduced me. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
So you're awesome. Well, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
Thanks
appreciate
for all
it.
you
Yeah.
do. Thanks for just your heart. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thanks, Phaedra.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.